Once again, just a quick look at the RSI heat map. You can see that we've risen sharply since last week. And if we take a look at the top 50 coins, last time it was absolutely dead, nothing going on. There wasn't a single price that was overbought. Right now, we're already seeing it with ETH, Solana, Dogecoin, BNB. For example, we're overbought. And among the top 50, there isn't a single price that's oversold. So you can see everything is slowly moving upward. It's getting a bit more likely that there will definitely be a small correction later on, which means that the chances of a minor pullback in the market have increased. Such corrections are a normal part of how markets behave, especially after periods of growth. If we look at the daily chart, Solana is overbought, Pampis is overbought, and on the downside, we don't have any prices that are oversold anymore. Let's move on to the very first coin that I've carefully selected and prepared for you today, and that of course is Solana. With Solana, we've already seen a significant increase. Since the bear market low, it has risen impressively. You shouldn't always regret missing out on the market, but personally, I'm still a bit sad that I didn't get in back when it was at $8. But I think everyone felt that way. The risk that the whole thing would go completely bankrupt was tied to the FTX collapse. But it recovered really well. And for me, the whole thing looks like this. We had an upward move here into wave 1, then went down into wave 2, and then a wave 3, which we extended then with an overshooting wave for AB. We extended wave 4 and are now making the final upward move into wave 5. And there I see prices of roughly between $320 and more like $445. Of course, it could go even higher, but I tend to focus on the lower range and would be happy if it actually ends up being even more. On the smaller time frame, it looks as follows. I assume that since the low point of wave 4, where we were also below $100 and now we've already reached $240 again. So the price has really increased quite a bit there already. We built up wave 1 here, then moved down into wave 2 and are now on the move again. On the way into wave 3. And just for wave 3 alone, a price target of around $330 to about $380 can be expected. And if we manage to push up to that level, then there would be another pullback in wave 4. And then another rise into wave 5. That means we could very well break through the $440 mark. I see that as entirely possible. But there is still a risk. We need 5 movements, 5 wave movements for an upward impulse. 5 movements, 5 wave movements. And as things stand now, even though it currently looks quite good, we have so far only 1, 2, 3 movements. If there are only 3 movements, then this will have been the top of the bull run. And the price would then already start to drop. But since we still have bullish momentum right now, I naturally see the bullish count as the favorite. But it has to be pointed out, we need 5 movements and we only have 3. Then we come to LDO, which was also requested. I also took the time to take a closer look at it. Yes, the price, if you just look at Solana alone, you can definitely say that whether it was in the last bull run or not, there was simply very strong upward momentum present here. And here, there was also strong upward momentum. Whereas with LDO, there is no momentum. And even these structures that you can count here, one, I'll count that now, as the A wave, then we go down here into a B wave. And if this plays out bullish, we could expect a C wave, which could bring us to a new high, and that would put us at about $4.78. But you have to keep in mind, the price shows no weakness at all. And that's why it's entirely possible that this could take a bearish turn. With a bit of luck, we might be able to rule that out soon. But it's also quite possible that with the all-time high we set here in January 2024, we could see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave movement upward at the bottom, and the price could collapse in on itself. Because up until now, since January 2024, the price has only been making lower highs. So lower, lower, lower up to now. So that means even though we currently have an upward trend here, which I like, we definitely need to break through this level here. So we're looking at around $2.49. Then I could imagine that the price might be willing to set a new all-time high here. But we definitely need a higher high first. Here in the smaller time frame down here, things are already looking pretty good. But we have to get above up there, otherwise it's going to be really tough. There's also another important level. I'll quickly remove this here as well. Exactly. Another important level is the following. In order to break this downtrend here, we've already moved into this red area where you can say, okay, it's becoming less dangerous that we'll get this bearish wave 3 here. That would put us at 29 cents already. We would need to get above this level here, the $1.84. If that were to be broken through, then you could slowly start to consider that something bullish might develop. But as long as we don't break above that, the outlook remains downward for now because, as I said, we've been making lower lows for the past 1.5 years. If you're interested in prices, just let me know. Then I would prepare that for the next stream and get ready for it accordingly, just like I did now. With the ones I've already shown here, I'll just give a brief product note here. You can see it up there in the banner. I have a new cooperation partner, and that's Wix. That's also a really great platform. Exchange. I left Coin because all the integrations with the tax programs just didn't work out. Wix is actually a platform where you can really trade well. I think it's really great. And what's awesome is there's a huge bonus you can get there. Up to 100% of your deposited capital. On top of that, of course, there are a few conditions attached, but they're really not strict at all. So feel free to check out the link, take a look at it. Maybe it's something for you. I'd be happy if you used my link for it as well. Like I said, I'd really appreciate it. For example, if you say, okay, here's LDO. If that coin ever runs through here, and if you say, okay, now I think it might be a good time to go long, then for example, it would be ideal to do that through Wix and just build up a position there. In the futures market, the advantage is since you can't really achieve tax exemption anymore anyway, and in the futures market, you only have a 25% tax here in Germany, plus possibly a solidarity surcharge, but not an individual tax rate. So from that perspective, that's something to consider, and it can be implemented wonderfully with Wix. All right, then let's move on to TAO. TAO was also requested. With TAO, it was like this. At the beginning of the bull run, it had a great performance, but at the moment, it's also showing weakness. It's forming lower highs. And that's not a good sign at the moment. When it comes to the lows, it's holding steady and has also established a distinct, yes, line of support there, which is at 162 US dollars. We definitely need to stay above that. I'm actually pretty confident about it. Now, it looks like with TAO, I'm still expecting a bigger upward move. The question is this first rise? It's hard to say for sure right now. It could either be a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in which case we'd have a wave 1. But it could also be a 3-part move in an ABC wave upward. And in that case, it would be a wave A. That means the sell-off down here is either a wave B in an A, B, C formation, or it's the wave B, which is also formed in 3 parts. So either the price rises in an ABC structure upward to the top. Then we would have a price target, if the substructure develops accordingly, of about 900 to 1,100 US dollars. That means we would see another increase in value here, currently from about 150 to 200%. And if it turns out to be the wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if that's the case in wave 3, which is the wave you can actually measure, we would have a price target of around 1,200 to 1,350 US dollars, and of course potentially even more, but that would be a first target to aim for. And with a bit of luck, we might even get another wave. 4 and a wave 5 before the bull run for TAO should come to an end. Personally, for now, I'm following the yellow count, and if it turns out to be more, I'll let you know if necessary, and of course, react accordingly. Now let's move on to AVAX. With AVAX, it's similar. It had a nice rally, but with AVAX as well, since its top at around 155 US dollars, it has consistently made deeper retracements. And it needs to break out of this spiral. That means, putting Elliott Wave theory aside for now, AVAX needs to first get above this trend channel here. Depending on how the chart develops, that would be somewhere in the price range, let's say, between 40 and, well, around 40 US dollars is where this resistance should be. So far, it's been rejected there twice. It needs to break through there. If it manages to get above that, then we have a chance for the price to rise again up to 113 US dollars. That means no new all-time high. With a bit of luck, if things turn a bit more bullish, it really depends now on how the wave movement looks. So we need, regardless of whether it goes into the yellow structure here or the white structure, we now need 5 waves upward. And depending on how strong these 5 waves develop, with those 5 waves we'll either find a price stop here, roughly. As I said, that's determined by the substructure, or we move above it and enter this upper price range here. That's determined by the substructure. That's why my recommendation is to take a slightly more defensive approach and be happy if you get more. 113,000 to 160,000 US dollars is the forecast, provided that AVAX doesn't get rejected here again, because otherwise I think nothing much will happen with this coin for now. Now I'll move on to 2 coins from an analytical perspective that are a bit more difficult to analyze. First, let's take Hype. This coin hasn't been around for very long yet. That's why it's difficult to analyze, and that's also why there's not much on the chart here. What can be said in general? We've set a new low. That means the price has fallen below the issue price. That's not really a big deal. It has recovered really well. But for my personal approach, I can't really do much with it right now because we've formed a new low. That means for me, this is where it starts. And with a bit of goodwill, you could draw a 5-part upward movement here and say, okay, since the whole thing is impulsive, we could keep moving further up. The first price target of this wave 5 has already been reached at 57 US dollars. But in the regular target range of a wave 5, we would still have room up to about 83 US dollars. Personally, I would prefer more defensive 70 US dollars. Then a wave 2 could move downward here. But to really forecast that accurately, unfortunately, the chart history is too short. So I have to honestly disappoint you here. Unfortunately, I can't really say much more about it now. What we can look at is that on the daily chart, the price is or was in the overbought area. Yes, and now it's dropping again, which is why it was no longer on that one list, because we're already below 70 points. So that means there will definitely be a pullback at some point. And the MACD, we can just take a look at that now. There, it's the case that we still have some room. And the price, these lines haven't converged yet, so there is definitely still potential. The price could still continue to rise. What you have to keep in mind is that all in all, the price is quite literally on the rise here. Yeah, I didn't draw that very nicely, but you know what I mean. Meanwhile, the RSI is currently showing a slightly declining trend. And the MACD is also showing a slightly declining movement. So that means it points to a trend reversal, which will come to hype sooner or later. And that's why this could actually fit quite well. But this is really all just speculation at this point. And that's what I can gather from the chart, because there's simply not enough price history. But I hope you can still make something of it. And then we come to number 8. That one was also requested. And the price is actually harder to analyze as well. And it's the same there. In the last bull run, we had a really good one. All-time high at 20 cents. And since then, the price has dropped sharply and formed a sort of price floor here. So that means we have a very strong resistance here. Yes, it was rejected up here 3 times. And in order to imagine anything bullish or to dream about it, the price definitely needs to move above this level, around 5.1 cents. If it doesn't break through there and gets rejected again, then I believe the price won't do anything in the current bull run. But we also have 2 support levels, and those definitely need to hold. So, as long as we stay between this resistance and, for now, the support here at 1.6 cents, which has held for a year now, since September 2024, the price has managed to recover every time. So as long as we stay within that range, there's still hope that we can move upwards from here. But if we drop below it and fall below the level from August 2024 at 1.45 cents, then I'd say, okay, that's it for this bull run completely. I mean, I know there's also a big YouTuber who also holds it, yeah, and has for a long time, and has also made a lot of videos about it. I think it's, in that sense, a good project, because at least it manages to stay stable. There are a lot of others that actually keep hitting lower lows, and the outlook is totally bleak, but the price is moving sideways, just like Chainlink did back in the bear market, really completely sideways. But at least we still have the advantage here that we could see an upward trend. That means the lows are also getting higher, and that's why there's definitely still a chance that we could see another move into a wave C here. According to Elliott Wave, this is a difficult pattern, and I'm not even sure if that's really the case, because it's just not really possible to calculate it properly. In that case, this would be a flat correction in an ABC.E structure. And if you were to use that as a benchmark, then for a wave C, but this is absolutely not binding, it's just so that you have at least, if I have said anything at all, then this would definitely be the price stop here. And then we would have a price target in the wave. C to the upside, which could be at between 21 and 26.27 cents. With a bit of luck, it could be even more, but that would be a realistic price target. But again, I'm taking that from the chart, because this is simply just a forecast, which is not guaranteed.